Also, what do you guys think about Piers Morgan? Do you think that he's been platforming a lot of people that would not get a platform on a mainstream level talking about what they're talking about? And he's always taking the side of Israel, but he's really highlighting and making a lot of anti-Semites famous.
There'll be some skeptics who go, well, he doesn't really mean this. He'll be back doing the other stuff before long. This is just a stunt because he's an Instagram guy. Why wouldn't it be? What do you say to that?
Well, I mean, I've pretty much stopped posting on Instagram. I haven't posted much in 4 years. And like I said, I don't really care that much about social media except for, speaking about things that I think...
But he's in such a funny position because he doesn't care about money. He doesn't care about fame. He has all the money. He has all the fame. It's like, what now? That's why he ended up finding God. Because what is the actual pursuit? You got all the bitch. Like, I'm not trying to glaze. Like, that's his life. All the money, all the fame. Now what? Already maxed it out. Might as well just ditch it and realize that that's an empty pursuit.
Here, and that a lot of people are scared to say.
Well, let's talk about some of that because you've been very vocal about Israel in particular. Even when Yahya Sinwar, the head of Hamas, was killed by the IDF, you were out lauding him as a hero. To most people, he's the despicable head of a terrorist organization that perpetrated on October the 7th one of the worst terror attacks in modern history. What's heroic about that?
Well, I think when you look at it in a vacuum, it's a very different picture. It's kind of like if I, raped your mother and I kicked you in the nuts 3 times and then you punched me in the face and everybody just wanted to focus on you punching me in the face. I think that would be a very different conversation than when you look at it, the whole of what happened. And the whole of what happened was Nakba. That's where it started. You have 750,000 Palestinians that got displaced. And then you've got multiple...
I don't think people understand. If you don't know, this started in 1948. There's a lot of times Zionists try to lie and say that the conflict has been going on for thousands of years. That's not true. They coexisted peacefully for thousands of years. This is like, I don't know if people know about this stuff, about Israel-Palestine, but they were able to coexist for a long time and it was fine. 1948 happens. That's when the UK sold the land. And the Nakba was the first genocide. That was the first major displacement. Because now the Israelis are like, okay, I deserve to live here. A lot of these people came from Poland, came from Ukraine. These Eastern Europeans came over and said, this is my land now because the UK said so. And then the first genocide happened in 1948. It did not start on October 7th, 2023.
Acts of terror, in my opinion, on Israel's side that would make October 7th look like nothing. So to me, I think it was a retaliation, and I think that Hamas is a resistance organization, and I think that Israel is a terrorist.
When did Israel kill 1,200 people in a single day and wound nearly 7,000?
Well, I mean, you have...
Isn't it funny, like the Zionists say too, like God hid on that day. Rabbi Shmuley said that. The day that we debated, he's walking around with the flag. Oh my God, you are harassing and attacking me. Oi. He's saying that God slept on October 7th. That's how they think. When Ben Shapiro sees that Trump wins, Ben Shapiro tweets, "Well done, God." Like God works for him. God didn't do his job on October 7th. It's a whole different view.
Nakba, there was, 15,000 people killed during Nakba. I mean, there was Sabra and Shatila. I mean, that was 3,500 civilians. Then you have 2014, they killed 1,500 civilians. 500 plus were kids. I mean, so any one of those days would have been much worse than October 7th, but nobody really talks about
those didn't happen in single
days. October 7th, it's not nearly as bad as what they say.
Well, those didn't happen in single days, as you know.
Well, I mean, you have, Sabra and Shatila, that was 3,500 people, so that was basically 7 October 7th. And October 7th, I think the numbers get inflated a lot too, because you're not taking into account that there was only 650 civilians, and there was the Hannibal Directive that was employed, and the Hannibal Directive is when the military is basically killing civilians so that they aren't taken as hostages. And that had to be hundreds of people, so I would argue that it was less than 500 civilians that were killed, and to me, that is much less than what, the Israelis have been doing to the Palestinians.
I gotta admit, I think October 7th was a major mistake. A lot of people say it was inevitable, and it probably was. It was boiling for a lot of time, and people are, of course, the Palestinians are destined to retaliate, but I don't think it was planned well, and I don't think it was an impressive attack, and I think it gave Israel a lot of justification for what they're doing now. And the fact that we're still having this debate over a year later, for a while I thought that it was allowed by Israel to justify genocide, but doing more research, I think it was an attack that was coordinated just not very well, and I think it would be better off if it didn't happen. But at the same time, though, it opened up the conversation quite a bit. Like, would we be talking about Israel and Palestine at this scale without it? Probably not.
But you said even the year when October 7th happened, they had killed hundreds of Palestinians that year. It was the bloodiest year for kids. So that was a reply to what had been happening.
But when you say that October 7th wasn't as bad as people have said.
W take L Juco. So what's your take? Talk to me. I'm reading.
What do you mean by that? Because from Hamas's own boasting through their GoPro cameras, they mutilated, burned alive, raped and abused, beheaded some people, set fire to homes, they kidnapped babies, they kidnapped Holocaust survivors, grandparents. They did just about every act of depravity it is possible to do. And they didn't just do it, they gleefully posted it on social media and the internet so that we could all watch in real time the horrors that they were perpetrating. It's hard to imagine a more horrific act than what happened that day. Why would you try to downplay it?
Well, I mean, there was only 2 babies killed from what I was told, and one was in the hospital, and the other one was shot by a bullet. There was no babies in ovens. There was no, beheaded people.
Remember when Ben Shapiro was saying, I feel like we've had this conversation so many times, but after October 7th, Ben Shapiro was spreading this lie that there were 30 beheaded babies, and then he tweeted a picture of like the microwave charcoal. It looked like a bunch of burgers that were cooked too much. It's like, look at these babies. I'm like, these aren't babies. These aren't babies. This is the leftover grill from Dad's barbecue.
That I saw, the rapes were disproven. So all that was Israeli propaganda. And the problem is Israel has continued to lie and lie and lie, and they've been caught lying. And they're the only ones that have actually been caught red-handed raping prisoners. And they've done it. And the people that raped the prisoners were now heroes.
True.
And they got released, and there was nothing that happened to them. So I think it's very hypocritical to focus on things that they're doing and then try and blame them, on Hamas or the Palestinians.
It's interesting because,
to me, total bull. Israeli propaganda.
Yeah, I mean, listen, many people will listen to you and think that what you're spewing is propaganda from the other side. And the reason I say that is you say there was no raping or abuse of women, and yet the UN Special Representative on Sexual Violence in Conflict, Pramila Patten,
did he just flex his chest?
did in March this year, that there was clear and convincing information that Israeli hostages in Gaza experienced sexual violence, including rape, sexualized torture, and cruel, inhumane, and degrading treatment, and reasonable grounds to believe such abuse is ongoing. There was also reasonable grounds to believe that conflict-related sexual violence occurred during the 7th of October attacks in multiple locations across Gaza periphery, including rape and gang rape in at least 3 locations. So when you say it didn't happen, what you're really saying is you think that the United Nations report into all this, which established it absolutely did happen and was horrific, is a pack of lies? And if so, why would the United Nations lie?
Look, I wasn't there, but I have seen articles that said that it did not happen. So, if it did happen, that's terrible, and I think that's atrocious. I don't ever believe in rape, but during Sabra and Shatia, there was a girl raped in front of her father, and that's happened on the other side numerous times. I mean, it happened in the prison. I mean, they were literally rioting because they felt like they had to.
But they keep saying like, oh, these people were raped and all this. There's no evidence of that, but there is evidence of IDF soldiers being paraded around Israeli television because they were raping prisoners. It sounds like I'm being facetious. I'm not. And then they were. What Dan Bilzerian is saying is true. There was protests in Israel because IDF soldiers were not allowed to rape the prisoners. I'm not joking. They were protesting the fact that they weren't allowed to rape the prisoners, right? Because they believe that they're allowed to do whatever they want to prisoners of war.
The right to rape these prisoners. So to me, I think it's a bit hypocritical. You can't believe that you have the right to rape prisoners and then complain about them raping, your civilians as well. So I don't think it just can only go one way. I think it's atrocious on both sides.
You said Hamas are not terrorists, are an army fighting for their country against the worst terror organization on the planet. And yet Hamas were given power in Gaza in 2005. They were given billions of dollars, a lot of it in a very suspect manner by Benjamin Netanyahu and his government because he wanted to create a rift between Palestinian groups, and I completely accept that. But there's no doubt from what has now emerged that Hamas spent most of that money not on benefiting the lives of Palestinian people in Gaza, but on building an elaborate tunnel system and arming themselves to the teeth so that they could perpetrate this act of horror on October the 7th in a strike against Israel that they hope would decapitate Israel. I'm just curious why you would go out of your way. You say you've read things, but you're a guy of big influence. You've got a big following, 30-odd million people on Instagram. With respect, and I say this respectfully, I understand why you want to support the Palestinian cause. And
I guarantee you it's going to get more heated. Right now it's more civil. It's just going to get more, it's going to go this subject back and forth, and the tensions are going to raise this entire debate.
There'll be many points of agreement we would have on that. But just to say, well, I read somewhere there were no rapes and abuse. It doesn't seem to me like you've really studied, or perhaps don't even want to study, the facts about all this, because it was
actually, Piers, that's exactly what studying is.
Go against your own narrative. Would that be fair?
I mean, look, I got no dog in this fight, Piers. I'm not Palestinian. I'm not Muslim. I'm just saying what I believe is right. And let's just say there was rapes. I mean, I think that's terrible. But like I said, they are, an occupied state, and they're operating in apartheid. So when you are kept in an open air prison, there's going to be resistance. And how that resistance manifests itself is, it's going to be violent eventually. I mean, if you kill enough people and you take enough land and you treat people like second-class citizens, and and you're stealing land in the West Bank, and you're just basically, encroaching.
Rango's Revenge and Rumble Chat says, SNEAKO, practice your debate skills so you can own these clowns. I think I absolutely destroyed Rabbi Shmuley on this exact subject. So is that not a perfect example of this exact debate happening impromptu?
These people's human rights on a daily basis, there's going to be repercussions. So, I'm not going to be the judge or jury, and I'm not going to condemn these people for fighting back. I think nobody had an issue with, South African apartheid and their resistance. So I don't know why there's an issue with the resistance in the clear apartheid that's going on here.
You went on Patrick Bet-Davis' podcast. He's a friend of the show. You said the Jews killed JFK and that Israel wanted October the 7th to happen so that they, Israel, had a reason to take the land. Let's just discuss those two things. What do you mean the Jews killed JFK?
So I believe that was an Israeli Mossad operation, and they've committed multiple false flag attacks.
Whoa! Everything that used to be a conspiracy theory is now becoming mainstream. Yeah. Israel's fingerprints are all over JFK's assassination. It makes a lot of sense. And JFK's strategy is actually similar to what I hope Trump is going to do in 2025. JFK had to go and suck up to the Zionists, but then when he got in, he completely switched on them. He called them out for having atomic bombs. He didn't want them to become a nuclear power. He wanted to separate the alliance. He was against war. And being anti-war is being anti-Israel, and then that's why he was assassinated.
I mean, they've, the USS Liberty, you've got the Levin affair. I mean, so they've got a history of doing this, and I don't think it's crazy to think that they were involved in that assassination, and that's the reason that Trump didn't want to, release those files. And I think clearly it had to be embarrassing. Otherwise, why wouldn't he want to release it? And that's the only thing that I could think of that would be embarrassing, because everybody from that time is pretty much dead by now. So it would make sense. I mean, they wanted to cut off, it's now AIPAC, but the Zionist, organization that was doing all the funding that should have been registered as a foreign entity, and he wanted to register them under FARA. He wanted to, take away their ability to have nukes, and they didn't like that. So I believe that they killed JFK.
Also, I would love Trump, if you could make AIPAC register as a foreign agent, I think that'd make a lot of us very happy for openly supporting you so much.
Just to be clear, you have absolutely no evidence that any Jews killed JFK, do you? Nothing.
Well, I mean, that's not true. I mean, Jack Rubenstein, that was the person that killed the supposed Patsy Lee Harvey Oswald. I mean, he was a Jewish mob guy. And, there's been numerous documentaries tying the, Jewish mafia.
It's funny that the Hollywood movies will make it seem like the Italians were always the ones controlling the mafia. When you actually look at the names of the big bosses, almost all of them were Jewish. And there's not anti-Semitic to say that. That's just the truth. The movies, hey, oh, pizza pie. But they're not. A lot of these people were Jews.
Hey, I mean, I wasn't there, but everything that I've seen evidence-wise points to Israel.
Really?
And they're doing it in Epstein Island. They did it in Epstein Island. I mean,
Yeah, but here's the problem I have with this. You say everything you've seen, right? It just seems to me like you see a lot of conspiracy theory stuff. I've read a lot about the JFK assassination. There is zero evidence that any Jews killed John F. Kennedy. Zero. Unless you want to go off into some mad conspiracy theory rabbit hole. And I say to you that you make these big statements and you have a huge following of people, many of whom will think, well, wow, if Dan Bilzerian says it, maybe it's true. And that way, I would argue, this is how a lot of conspiracy theory stuff in the end gets propagated and promoted to the detriment of society. Because people like you who are very smart, there's no question of that.
This is always the deflection. As soon as you start to question these things, they'll just call you a crazy conspiracy theorist. It doesn't work anymore, though. And that's why frame is so important in debates like this. And why I beat Rabbi Shmuley is that I just stood there like this. Yeah, Israel did 9/11. If you like wave your arms around and you make a big show and you scream and people can use things to make you look like a crazy person, if you look like you're on drugs like Rabbi Shmuley, then you're going to be discredited. But if you sit there just like Dan Bilzerian sitting here like, yeah, they did it. They killed JFK. That's why they've always propped up crazy people to go and talk about conspiracy theories for so long. And why it's becoming mainstream now is because people that seem reasonable, normal people are talking about it.
Successful and made a lot of money being very successful. I'm just curious why you want to be so inflammatory without actually having any evidence. And as you say, to just sit back and say, well, I wasn't there. Well, I wasn't there. Obviously, I wasn't even born. But I know that there were there's no credible evidence that Jewish people killed JFK. And yet you just say it as a fact, as if somehow we should just believe this.
No, I didn't say it as a fact. I said that's what I believe. And if you look at, the history of people that have criticized Israel, Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, JFK, Nixon, I mean, they all have similar fates. And so I don't think that's a coincidence. I also think that today a lot of, quote unquote conspiracy theories have all come true. So, about 2-3 years ago, being a conspiracy theorist, you were a nut job, wacko, whatever. And now it's just like every single one of them seems to be coming true, coming to fruition. So I don't know. I mean, I think once you see the government lie to you on a scale like they did during COVID, you start questioning a lot of things. And I think it's healthy to question things. And I think one of the big reasons why I'm down this path so far is because once I started questioning Israel and once I started speaking out against Israel, I saw the ramifications and I saw the pushback. And the side of right is usually never the side that's silencing people. The people that are on the right side of history are not the ones trying to, cut off free speech or punish people for what they say.
You think that the Jews killed Gaddafi as well?
Israel. I think that they have way too much control in our government, and I think it is not coincidence that everybody that's been critical of Israel has, either been overthrown.
Oh, Gaddafi made his own bank, made a bank independent of Israel, and they assassinated him. He was the first one.
Yeah.
The first one to actually lead Africa towards some sort of liberation, and then he showed up dead.
Gaddafi wanted to make a great Africa, and he did a lot of works. He made a one banking system that is against, this dollarization. He destroyed by chosen people. They want to make us slave, and now they did.
Shah of Iran, like every single person that's been critical of Israel has either been killed or thrown out of power. And I don't think that is a coincidence. I mean, the reason we fought a lot of these wars is because of Israel. I mean, Israel lied to us. They told us that there was weapons of mass destruction. We fought many.
Netanyahu stood in U.S. Congress and said that Iran had weapons of mass destruction. No, that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction.
Wars on their behalf, so their influence cannot be disputed, and the people that we continuously fight just happen to be their natural enemies, and they have influence on what we do. And that's my biggest issue. That's actually one of the reasons why I kind of started marching down this path, is because I see how much control Israel has over our government, and it's not healthy. And I see our politicians acting on behalf of Israel instead of on behalf of what is best for the United States. And that is, as a veteran, where I really have huge problems with this.
I'm sure you do, but when you say that what was it you said, that the Jewish people said there were weapons of mass destruction. I mean, it was President Bush. He's not Jewish. It was Colin Powell. He wasn't Jewish, as far as I'm aware. What are you talking about? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, you're talking
Conby spell
about
that?
2% of the population. So obviously, every single person in there is not Jewish, but it is benefiting Jewish interests, and we are operating on behalf of Israel. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying all of our politicians are Jewish, obviously, but what I am saying is that Israel has dirt and blackmail in our politicians. It's the only way to explain why they put the interests of Israel above our countries, and you see that. I mean, look, I truly believe that Epstein Island was a Mossad operation, and they have dirt on our politicians, and they've done plenty of these, and that is why they control our country. I mean, explain it out. Why else would our country be doing everything in Israel's benefit to our own detriment? Israel doesn't do anything for us. Why would we be doing that?
We know why America and the UK, for that matter, Tony Blair, because I spoke to him about it at length at the time. We know why they went to war with in 2003. They went because they believed he had weapons of mass destruction. They were the ones who argued it. None of the senior people that argued it for America or the UK, in terms of Tony Blair, George Bush, Colin Powell, were Jewish. This idea that somehow Israel was orchestrating that war, I think is completely nonsensical. I mean, my brother fought in that war for the British Army. He wasn't ordered into that war by Israel. It was a decision taken by George Bush and Tony Blair. It just seems to me that when people have accused you, as they have, of being anti-Semitic, this is the reason why. It's because you look everywhere for a reason to blame Israel for absolutely everything, even when there's no evidence that it was Israel involved in the actual orders that were taken. There's no evidence that Israel ordered the Iraq war. It was taken by George Bush's administration with the help of people like Tony Blair.
Well, we went there because Netanyahu testified in front of Congress that they had weapons of mass destruction, which was a total lie, and it was a lie to benefit Israel because that was an enemy of Israel. So what I'm saying is they're the beneficiary of what we are doing, and it's not in the best interest of the United States. So clearly they've got control over our politicians.
To be clear again, though,
I'm not saying our politicians are Jewish. I'm saying our politicians are doing what they're telling them to do.
They're controlled by
right.
Israel.
Well, that's slightly different to what you did say. And you said on Patrick Bet Davis' podcast as well, they play the victim card so effing much about Jewish people. I mean, do you not understand why Jewish people might feel a sense of victimhood, given that 6 million of them were killed in World War II by a genocidal monster in the Holocaust? Do you not understand why that might make Jewish people feel?
Oh, you see the trap that he set up for him? You see the trap? I don't know if you guys caught it.
Of them were killed in World War II by a genocidal monster. I don't understand why Jewish people might feel a sense of victimhood, given that 6 million of them were killed in World War II by a genocidal monster in the Holocaust. Do you not understand why that might make Jewish people feel? Yes.
He's trying to get it. He's trying to get him in a trap. He's trying to get him to say. He's trying to get him to say it was 5,999,000. Like he wants
well,
it.
I mean, being victim.
Yeah, I mean that figure's been revised, but I believe.
What?
You promised us the fisheye lens. Where is it?
Shut up.
Jewish supremacy is the greatest threat to America, and I think it's the greatest threat to the world today. I truly believe that.
What do you mean the figure's been revised? What do you mean?
Well, they said that it was 4 million that died in Auschwitz, and then they said it was down to 1 million, so they've revised the figure.
Well, how many people? How many people do you think were killed in the Holocaust?
71,000 that died in Auschwitz.
How many do you think were killed in the Holocaust?
I don't know, but I would bet my entire net worth that it was under 6 million.
Oh, bro, crazy. He doesn't believe that. 6 million.
Again, I simply ask you, Dan, what's the motivation for making claims like that? What do you stand to gain by trying to diminish what happened in World War II?
I'm just answering your question. I mean, I'm a gambler, so if I think that something is a low probability, then I would bet on it. And I don't know for a fact, but the evidence all says that it was less than 6 million. I mean, just the mathematics don't work. Like you can't cremate that many bodies. Like the whole gas chamber thing, it's a very ineffective way to kill people.
Oh my God!
So when people have researched this and they've done the due diligence, they said it's mathematically impossible.
You see, I'm sorry, but I just find that unbelievable.
Bro, see the way he's saying it too, without even quivering or changing at all, without any sort of anxiety or like you can see in the way he's talking that he has no brand deals to lose. He has no business that people can take away from him. He has no contracts that can be canceled. He's just like, yeah.
This and they've done the due diligence. They said it's mathematically impossible.
You see, I'm sorry, but
He didn't even flinch. You're not supposed to do that. He broke the matrix. You don't say that without flinching. You're supposed to say ironically. You're supposed to laugh. You're supposed to smirk, or just say possibly. You're supposed to question it.
I just find that unbelievably offensive, and I'm not even Jewish. Again, there is clear evidence.
How is that offensive?
6 million people, almost predominantly Jewish, were killed in the Holocaust.
See, Piers Morgan is spiritually Jewish. He's part of the Jewish group, the Zio group soul. He identifies his pronouns. His pronouns are oi vey.
1 million were killed by the Nazis in total.
Piers Morgan's pronouns are oi vey.
Yeah, they were a genocidal monstrosity of the Nazis who wanted to eliminate the Jewish people, and they tried extremely hard to do that.
You said 12 million were killed?
The Nazis killed 12 million people in World War II. 6 million were killed in
6
million were killed in the Holocaust. Or do you not believe that either?
Okay. I mean, Jews have killed far more Christians. Well, Jews have killed far more. Let's just accept the 6 million figure. Jews have killed far more Christians than that. I mean, it's not even close. If you look at the Bolshevik genocide, you look at the Holodomor, I mean, they've killed way more Christians. I mean, they basically invented the genocide. So, they deny the Armenian genocide. Israel denies that. They've lobbied the U.S. to deny that. I'm Armenian. They killed half of my people. So, and I'm not offended by that. If somebody questions that, it's not some crazy thing. I mean, Israel denies the Armenian Holocaust.
Ooh, bro, what's the rebuttal for that? What's the rebuttal for that?
Okay.
It sounds to me, Dan, like you do actually hate Jewish
Or
people.
many.
Oh, he won! He won! He's just using liberal feminist arguments now. You hate me! He gives a valid argument. It sounds like you just hate. There's no rebuttal. There's no response. Immediately victimized, just like Rabbi Shmuley. Oh my, you hate me, don't you? You hate my hat. You don't. I don't think a lot of normies won't realize, but he just won the argument right here. One more time.
Okay.
It sounds to me, Dan, like you do actually hate Jewish people.
That's not an argument, Piers.
Yeah.
You
hate us.
You're not even engaging in the
hate
conversation.
Muslims.
You're using the tactics that everybody are tired of. And people like him, Rabbi Shmuley, are why the word anti-Semite has no weight anymore. It doesn't carry the same power that it used to have. You used to be able to shut somebody out completely. We'd be done. But because they throw it around willy-nilly all the time, always victimize. People are like, well, they want to learn more now. You are helping people. Actually, it's funny because he's accusing Dan Bilzerian of making people anti-Semitic. It's people like Piers. It's people like Rabbi Shmuley that are doing it.
No, I believe that Jewish supremacy is the greatest threat to the world today. I look at what they're doing in the media. They're pushing this transgender nonsense. I mean, and they did it in Germany. The first transgender clinic was opened by a Jewish guy. And I don't like this perversion pushing our.
That's the books that, I don't know if Kick knows, but that's the books that they were burning. Right? Some people call you crazy conspiracy theorists, but that's what the Nazis were in the 30s. All the whole new gender wave of different gender identity, of sexual experimentation, of transgender, all that came from specific Jewish researchers, and they were in labs, and it really defines the modern transgender LGBT movement today. The Nazis burned those books.
Children.
That's a
I don't like
fact.
the fact that 9-year-olds are reading about homosexual acts. I don't like that drag queens are reading them in schools. I don't like that Kamala Harris wants to pay for sex changes in prison so that men can turn into women and women can turn into men. And I don't like the fact that he's putting in, men into women's prisons, male rapists into women's prisons because they identify as women. I mean, it's just nonsense. I don't like, men beating up women in boxing and sports. I think it's all nonsense, and I think it's leading to a degradation of moral fiber. And if left unchecked, I think it's going to ruin the world.
But again, you're blaming Jewish people. Why?
Because they're pushing this.
What do you mean they're pushing it? What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, they're controlling the media. I mean, the DEI is being pushed by BlackRock. BlackRock's execs are all Jewish. You look at where this is coming from. It's not a surprise.
Dan,
all the Disney execs are Jewish.
Dan,
they're pushing it on children.
Right? Do you accept, Dan, that you are just blatantly anti-Semitic?
Look,
whatever, bro. Ugh. It doesn't. It doesn't hit. Like it has. They took all the aura out of that word. It's just. It actually engaged in a conversation. And already, this looks completely heavily edited. It looks heavily edited. There was no way there's only 33 minutes. Very funny that this is 33 minutes, by the way. But he's not responding to anything. He's just...
Dan,
they're pushing it on children.
Right, do you accept, Dan, that you are just blatantly anti-Semitic?
Look, I have an issue with that term. I mean, I think the real Semites are the Palestinians. I mean, the DNA test that they've done...
God! It doesn't stop! Just bar after bar after bar! And he's doing the this is the face that Kamala Harris made against Trump in the debate that, concerned, oh my God, man is talking face? I'm triggered face? Huh?
On the Israelis that are living over there, they're Eastern European Ashkenazi Jews. I don't even think they're actual Semites. They don't have ancient Hebrew DNA, which is why DNA testing is illegal in Israel.
You're literally denying their existence. You are just a brazen anti-Semite, aren't you?
Bro, what about us? You hate us. You hate Muslims. You say every time Muslims are terrorists. I love them Jewish people, but if anyone killing innocent people, I hate them. I don't like them. They are the criminal. I'm not gonna support them.
You hate Jewish people, you hate Israel, you hate the state of Israel, its government, everything. You blame them in this interview for literally absolutely everything.
When you say, well, I think most of the problems today is caused by Jewish supremacy. I believe that.
I'm honestly gobsmacked.
I'm triggered. I'm so triggered.
You would say all this publicly, given what a high profile you have.
Okay. Is that it? Like, Piers, is that it? He came on here to talk. He's respectful. He's providing good arguments. He's showing his point of view. He's expressing his beliefs. And he's just on here. You're hateful. You're hateful. That's it?
Yeah. I mean, it is not a... It's not a popular opinion for somebody that cares about money and cares about not being canceled. I mean, that's the problem, is you can say whatever you want against Muslims. You can be super anti-Muslim. You can talk about them and nobody cares. But if you say anything about Jewish people, you get canceled. They look what they did to Kanye.
Perfect. I didn't know what to expect going into this interview. He absolutely bodied this. There's no rebuttal to any of these arguments. Succinct, stoic. He did a great job. Big shout out to Dan Bilzerian, you're right. The Zionist media machine calls Muslims terrorists for over 20 years. All of that turns out to be a lie. You could say Sharia law. You could say Muslims are evil. You could say we don't want Muslims in our country. They should be deported. You could say all this slander towards Muslims all day long. If you use 10%, 1% of the same attacks towards towards Jews.
I mean, so why are they such a protected class? Let me ask you that.
I don't think they are. I think they're a class that get targeted by people like you, and indeed by Kanye, who spewed horrible anti-Semitic nonsense. But yours, it seems to me to be more insidious, because you're literally blaming.
So you're literally blaming. Not the other way around.
You're literally blaming Jewish people for almost everything that's happened that you don't like in the world. That is the purest.
He specified supremacy.
Personification of anti-Semitism right there.
That's Jewish supremacy.
No, it's not. That's actually not what the definition is either. That's not it. Let's bring it up. What is it? That's not it. It's hostility or prejudice against Jewish people.
When you have a religion that promotes supremacy, when you have a religion that says that you are better than other people, and when you have a religion that says it's okay to steal from other people as long as they're not Jewish, when you have a religion that says it's okay.
Exactly. The problem is the supremacy aspect. And that's what when people said that, all right, let me clear something up. People said that I was like going against white people. I wasn't attacking white people. I'm attacking the idea of supremacy. Because one thing that Muslims have in common with white supremacist Christians is that we understand that Zionism is the root of a lot of problems in the world, if not most. And the root of Zionism comes from this supremacy idea, that there's an ethnic religion that's superior to others, the chosen people. We are better than others. We deserve this ethno-religion supremacy. So if you adopt that same ideology and just apply it to white Christians or to Arab Muslims, you are now perpetuating the same evil. So let's destroy the supremacy aspect. Okay, everybody is equal until works. God judges based off of our actions and what we do, not based off our skin color. That wasn't me attacking white people. It's attacking the idea of supremacy. That's the root of all evil.
Okay to rape people that aren't Jewish, when you have a religion that talks about having sex with kids that are under 3 years old, when you have a religion that promotes these things and promotes supremacy, I think you're going to have problems. And you see that in Israel. Israel is a manifestation of that religion. And I think that religion is, it's terrible. I don't believe in white supremacy. I don't believe in Jewish supremacy. I don't believe in supremacy at all. And right now, I think you have massive Jewish supremacy.
You sound like a Nazi.
This is the worst performance you've ever had in a debate. It doesn't stop. Provides evidence, gives examples, reasoning, stoic.
They don't have evidence.
You're a Nazi. You're an anti-Semite. You hate Jews. You're all right. Bafango. Nothing. I can't believe how bad it is. He doesn't even believe the words he's saying. He's just now repeating Matrix talking points. He's NPCing. He's defaulting to the programming. Nazi. He's just saying it, but can you hear in his voice that he doesn't even mean it?
Believe in supremacy at all. And right now, I think you have massive Jewish supremacy.
You sound like a Nazi.
Soundboard. It's just like, it's as if, it's just.
You had Jews.
Why do you say that?
That's literally what Nazis would have said in World War II. They would have literally articulated their hatred of Jewish people and the reasons why in exactly the way you've just done.
I don't have a hatred for Jewish people.
You do.
I don't like a religion that says that they're better than other people. What's that?
Well, you do. You obviously do. It's blatant. No one watching this will draw any other conclusion. I'm staggered about how brazen you've been.
Yeah, we have, Piers. Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't like when people think they're better than other people. And you see that in Israel. They're acting like that. And they're treating Palestinians like second-class citizens. They're treating them like subhuman beasts. And it sells that in their Talmud. So it says if you are not a Jew, that you are basically subhuman. And I don't think that Judaism and Christianity go hand in hand. I mean, they believe that Jesus is in hell burning in human and they believe the Virgin Mary is. So I don't think those are two religions that really intersect very well. But
see, this is what I'm saying. Americans don't know this, but they always talk about Judeo-Christian values and how Muslims can't coexist in America. But I would argue that Christians and Muslims have so much more in common than Jews and Christians. Jews believe that Jesus is burning in excrement and feces. Astaghfirullah. They do. They believe that the Virgin Mary is a We don't. Muslims believe that Jesus is, peace be upon him, is a beloved prophet. We believe in the Virgin Mary. We believe that, like, So where's the Judeo-Christian values? What are the shared values between Jews and Christians? If they believe, Christians believe Jesus is God, Jews believe he's burning in hell. Those are literally polar opposites. So what are the Judeo-Christian values? This is what the right wing believes. This is what the left wing believes. This is what American politics is founded on that. That's why they all show up with the Israeli flag there. That's all why they all repeat that. That's why they believe Sharia law is evil. That's why they demonize Muslims all the time. Because they can band together and then call Muslims evil. But Christians and Muslims, we don't say, well done, God. Christians and Muslims, we don't say that God slept during 9/11. No, we say that everything happens for a reason. The Almighty Creator is the creator of everything. And we should show gratitude regardless. God doesn't owe us anything. So Judeo-Christian values, it's time to get rid of this idea. And I tried for a long time with Islamo-Christian values because we have a lot of things that we share on and it ended up becoming a lot of bickering. Now that the elections happened, I think it's possible that, because I think a lot of people aren't going to be convinced about either side, about one for the other, and the debates go back and forth. But the whole point of that Muslim-Christian alliance, it was to dismantle the idea of Judeo-Christian values because there are no shared values. They have nothing in common. And as an American, I want to see people unite off something that actually has similarities. If we're going to be in a Christian nation, a majority Christian nation, which is a predominantly American values, stuff like this are based off Christian values, then it's time to stop demonizing Muslims because we're almost the same.
We've been programmed that they do, and we've been programmed that it's okay and that Jews are the chosen people, and I just disagree with that. I think everybody's equal.
Do you even comprehend how this interview is going to play out when it airs?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be bad. But, my opinion is not politically correct, but I believe that is the truth.
You're living in Qatar now?
Well, that's where I'm at right now. I'm not living here, but visiting.
What, is it?
Dang, wait. So is he going to be in Qatar when... Whoa, that might be another reason to go for the Misfits fights. Link up with Dan. That'd be cool.
The case that you feel safer to spew this kind of stuff from Qatar than you would spewing it in the United States?
Well, I've had a lot of Jewish people attack me since I started standing up in support of Palestine. When I started saying things that were against Israel, I found that I had my Jewish business manager tried to extort me. I had lawyers do things that were illegal, and I found a lot of just hatred from the Jewish community because I was speaking out against a genocide, and that really opened my eyes to what's going on.
You know why Jewish people...
rarely is it the case that people on the right side of history are the ones that are trying to silence people.
Yeah, the reason Jewish people may dislike you is because of your obvious hatred for them and everything they stand for. You've literally spent the last 20 minutes on an anti-Semitic rant that makes Kanye look like a choir boy. I'm staggered, but also...
Funny because I think Ye actually is a choir boy. It doesn't make it seem like that. That's what he does. The second, it doesn't seem like he went on a rant at all. I think it was really rational. He didn't seem unhinged. They always want to paint you as unhinged. They want to make you look crazy so bad. And it's been successful for a long time. They did that with Michael Jackson. They did that with Ye. They do a good job of making people seem insane.
I'm bemused as to what you think you'll gain from this, other than you're just laying bare your anti-Semitism for everyone to see.
I don't think I'm going to gain anything. I think
actually I'm going to.
Yeah, I think it'll be horrible for me. But it's what I believe. I don't think that Jews like Christians, and you see it when they killed them during the Holodomor, the Bolshevik genocide. The Bolsheviks, the leadership was 84% Jewish, and they were just mass killing Christians, and nobody talks about that.
Let me just ask you one more time. Let me just ask you one more time to be honest.
History books don't cover that.
Let me just ask you one more time, just for clarity. I think you should be honest. But do you hate Jewish people?
No, I don't.
Then why do you spew such hatred about them?
He wants a clip. Bro, you guys call me a clip farmer? This guy's an A1 clip farmer.
One more time, just for clarity. I think you should be honest. But do you hate Jewish people?
He wants the headline so bad.
No, I don't.
Then why do you spew such hatred about them?
Well, I don't like what they've done. I don't like what their religion preaches. I don't like what's going on in Israel. I don't like their influence over our government.
What do you like about Jewish people?
What? Bro, what the... Oh
what
my
do you
God.
like about Jewish people?
What would you answer, chat? If you were Dan right here, what do you answer? I would probably say that they make good movies. Larry David. It's funny, you can see Larry David did a DNA test and he found out that all his answers were slave owners. And for so long we believed that white people were the ones contributing to the transatlantic slave trade, and it was Jews. Jews were in charge of that. And Larry David's like, oh no, oy vey, my parents owned the slave ships. He's funny though. What would I say if I'm put in this situation right here? I'm on Piers Morgan. Yeah, I would just say that the movies, except for the parts where they, promote degeneracy and make people porn addicts. You like their hats? Aiden Ross. The tunnels? So it's at Aiden's eye. The New York lawyers. I don't like lawyers, bro.
I would say on average they're more intelligent.
That's it.
I don't have too many. Look, there's 2 billion Muslims. But
No! He didn't even have anything, bro. He didn't have any. That wasn't even something he liked. He's just basically saying, like, They're so smart. That's why they get away with all this.
Everybody wants to, promote this anti-Muslim, this hatred for Muslim, like they're all, these terrorists. And I think the Israelis are the terrorists. I think they are the ones perpetuating the big acts of terrorism. And, nobody wants to talk about that.
And what do you say to Jewish people who may watch this and be utterly horrified by what they're hearing?
They can be horrified. I mean, I was horrified to find that they...
Okay, right here, if I'm here...
This would be utterly horrified by what they're hearing.
Oy vey!
They can be horrified. I mean, I was horrified to find that they mass murdered Christians. I was horrified to learn the things that they teach in the Talmud. I was horrified that they think that Jesus is burning in hell. I was horrified that they think that the Virgin Mary is I was horrified to learn that they think it's okay to steal from Gentiles. I was horrified to hear that there's, two sets of justice. I was horrified to find out that they think it's okay to, gang rape Palestinian prisoners. I was horrified about all those things. I'm horrified that we're funding a genocide right now. So they can be horrified.
10 out of 10 performance. 10 out of 10 performance. He absolutely destroyed Piers. No rebuttal at all. Made himself look good. Nothing. It's almost like, is Piers a Hamas agent designed to make... Wow, that was great. What do you guys think? I thought that was perfect. Bro, at the end, he literally just went guns blazing, bro. He emptied the clip.
I was horrified that they think that the Virgin Mary is I was horrified to learn that they think it's okay to steal from Gentiles. I was horrified to hear that there's, two sets of justice. I was horrified to find out that they think it's okay to, gang rape Palestinian prisoners. I was horrified about all those things. I'm horrified that we're funding a genocide right now. So they can be horrified.
Like, how do you respond to that? How do you even respond to that? Piers responds by name calling without refuting any of it. Yeah, that was the worst. He's been debating this nonstop for years, and he had nothing. They'll call you an anti-Semite but never a liar. Oh, this is good.
Bro, do you hate Jewish? I think you don't. I don't hate them, but I hate those people who are doing, crime. I think Piers Morgan doing good thing, and he brings people like, they think they're anti-Semite, so he brings those people and make this debate like he is supporting Palestine. But he doesn't say that I support Palestine, but he also supporting Israel, and he brings people and do a debate, and we get lots of insight from it. And yeah, here is the truth. every time he's destroyed by, they think they're anti-Semite, so by them, I think from his debate we are getting lots of benefit from it. Like, did you see the debate of what was his name, Bassem Yusuf? That debate went viral. That video got 22 million views. It's crazy. I think through that debate many people saw the truth. I think this thing is helping us. Okay, keep going, Piers Morgan. We are getting benefit from it. Subscribe if you want to watch like these types of content. Goodbye. Masalam. Assalamu alaikum.